Hello everyone and welcome to a very nice game from round 9 of this year's Candidates Tournament. It is Alireza Firouzja versus Nepomniachtchi. Alireza not having the best tournament so far, especially by his standards, and I mean he is a 2800 former 2800 player after all. And Jan, as usual, he's pretty much leading and winning every Candidates Tournament he plays in. He already won the previous two ones, and now he is on his way of securing the third win. He's in the lead with Gukesh, and you probably read something about this game. Alireza made some remarks about the game, about the tournament, about the arbiter that said that Alireza's shoes were making too much noise when he was walking, as one of the players complained about Alireza's shoes. Now, we will get into this after we check out the game, but first, I believe it is important that we check out the game, and then after the game, we are going to discuss what Alireza said, what was the arbiter's reply, and everything. If you only came for that, there are timestamps, in the description below, or even you can click on the video. So let's check it out. Alireza with the white pieces opens with knight to f3. He starts off with a Reti. We have d5 by Nepo, and now pawn to b3. It's not the most popular way to play. It is the delayed Nimzovich-Larsen attack, and it is the fourth most popular reply in this knight f3 d5 setup, but it has been played by, let's say, Alexander Grishuk, Wesley So played it, Nakamura plays it just plenty, so it can be played. Knight f6, we have bishop to b2 and bishop to f5, and that's kind of the story of this Candidates Tournament. Everything can be played, only here it's played at the absolute highest level. So g3, preparing to fianchetto the other bishop, and now pawn to c5. Jan says, all right, you are wasting time fianchettoing your bishops. I will grab control over the center. e6 is a bit more common here. c5 extremely rare. Bishop to g2. We have knight to c6, castles, and pawn to e6. Now we have d3, bishop to e7, knight b to d2, and here some moves have been played here, like queen to c7 has been played, bishop to g6 has been played, d4 has been played. For example, h6 is a useful move, but if you play it right away, you invite pawn to e4. Simply because, yes, black is defending the e4 square 3 times, but also this knight cannot move, as you're going to lose the g7 pawn. To give you an example, let's say you play h6, pawn to e4 right away, captures, and once you capture, the g7 pawn hangs, and already black's position is just bad. So here, after knight b to d2, we have castles kingside by Jan, and it is now, as of move 8, that we have a completely new game. So okay, now, of course, e4 is no longer an option, but Alireza prepares it. Rook to e1. We have h6, now making room for the bishop to come back to h7, pawn to e4, and just bishop back to h7. We have knight to e5, offering a trade of knights, and Jan obliges. Knight captures, and knight to d7, kicking away the bishop back to b2, and now pawn to d4. If Jan can grab more space, you can always be sure that he will do so. And now that the knight has been developed to d2, you would very much enjoy having a knight on c4, but there's always the danger of the knight being kicked away by b5. So first you stop it. Pawn to a4 by Alireza, pawn to e5, and now pawn to f4. And it's not exactly this moment, but here is a nice photo of the matchup. You can see Alireza again in a very colorful suit. He has a very colorful suit and shirt for every game. And I believe Jan is always rocking the same outfit. Just goes for the classic. You can never go wrong with classic. And yeah, Alireza representing France, Jan representing FIDE. Let's see the rest of the game. We have queen to c7. Again, you could capture, but capturing, okay, it does sort of mess up Alireza's pawn structure, but really it doesn't. You just improve his presence here in the center. He can move the king, he can bring the rook to g1. The queen has access to the king side, so it's not great. The knight can come to f3. You can even remaneuver the bishop via c1 square, so it will be good for white. So Jan does what Jan does best. He just finds good moves. Queen to c7, queen to f3, and now b6. Improving the position overall. Bishop to h3. With the pawn on e5, this pawn chain will not be moving anytime soon, so the bishop isn't all that useful on this diagonal anymore. So bishop to h3, now fighting for the f5 square, and rook 8 to e8. Jan just, rook 8 to e8. Jan played this extremely quickly. There are many other moves you could consider, but Jan spent like a minute on this idea. And okay, knight c4, you know that the knight is coming here, and bishop to d6. You could also capture, but Jan already decided that he will not be opening up the g file for Alireza to attack. So bishop to d6, he even offers a dark square bishop, but let's be real, with all of these pawns and dark squares, the dark square bishop is really a pawn, so Alireza's knight is much more useful. But interestingly, Alireza does not agree. Look at this, he plays bishop to c1, and now comes queen to c6, and here, okay, this makes room for the bishop to retreat to c7, and Alireza doesn't like this, and he just captures that bishop. Now, the other way to play this is to actually capture the knight. Let's say bishop captures on d7, and after queen captures, you play f5, and now, yes, Jan has the bishop pair, but this bishop is a pawn, and this bishop not really part of this game. So, and the knight and the dark square bishop are very, very useful. The knight can even be remaneuvered, let's say d1, knight a3, knight h4. Later on, you could even dream of the knight being useful on f5 and g6. But Alireza doesn't like this. He plays knight captures on d6, queen captures, and now bishop captures on d7, queen captures, and pawn to f5. So for some reason, he decided that the bishop was a useful piece and that he should trade his knight for it. But okay, his dark square bishop is again much stronger than Jan's light square bishop, and he's the one that will be pushing here. And especially when we have bishops of opposite color, we always say that it's like one player is up a piece if it's an attacking game, because your light square bishop cannot oppose the dark square bishop, so it's like you're attacking a piece up. So okay, pawn to f6, you don't want to allow that pawn to advance any further, and Alireza just starts pawn g4. Of course, he now wants to move the king, he wants to bring the rook to g1, he wants to play h4, g5, must open the position and hopefully either checkmate the black king or win a lot of material. So Jan goes king to f7, and now we have pawn to h4, king to e7. Jan says, all right, the queen side looks very safe, I will just hide my king over on the queen side, I don't have to keep my king on the king side. And we have rook to e2. Alireza abandons the idea of pawn to g5, and rightfully so. Because let's say you play g5, okay, captures. Now g6 is somewhat of a problem for white as well, because after you capture with check, the king simply moves. And now let's say you play f captures on g6, bishop captures. It could be the white king that runs into some problems here. So let's say king f2, you're going to go rook to h8. Rook to h1, you have to trade, otherwise you just allow a nice rook lift for black, and now queen g4, and this already doesn't look like a dream position for white, where white is attacking. Yes, you can play rook queen h6, but now rook e6 goes after the pawn, and you have to play queen g5, you offer a queen trade, and now, well, either we have some sort of a repetition, let's say queen h3, you can even sacrifice the bishop, and now it's going to be a repetition, just queen h1, queen h2, queen h3 check. You can never block because then rook captures and black wins. So that's pretty much the idea behind pawn to g5. Of course, it could go many different ways, but objectively, you can't force anything here. And it's not really that Jan would have a problem defending this. He's almost up twice on the clock. He has 51 minutes, Alireza 30 minutes, so, and it's Jan, of course, he would defend well. So Alireza keeps the tension. Rook e2. We have king to d6, bishop to d2, and pawn to a5. Now stopping any pawn to a5 by Alireza to open up the a file. Rook to h2, and now king to c7. Jan just keeping his king safe. We have rook to f1, and now rook to h8. We have pawn to g5, and now bishop to g8. And here Alireza played g captures on f6, and he spent some 3 minutes on this move. But after the game, I've seen well, it wasn't so much as an analysis by Vishwanathan Anand, but he said that it would make for an interesting idea. He's not sure if it would work, but once you allow it to run through the engine, you see just how powerful Anand's idea was. Anand said that you should play g6, and even though it looks like you completely block the position and there's no more way for you to bust through anywhere, what you've done really is look at this bishop. It cannot enter the game any longer. Look at all of these pawns on light squares. All of the squares where the bishop can go to are controlled. That means that if the bishop can move, the rook on h8 cannot move. So from this point on, you're playing up a bishop and up a rook. So that was Anand's idea. And then Anand's idea is, since black has no moves, black can just move the queen and the rook, but black does not have any active moves. Anand said that we should just bring the rook to b1, then to b2, bring the other rook over to b1, keep the bishop on d2, put the queen on e1, and then once we have full control over the b4 square, Anand said you should execute b4, as you should in every game. But here, yeah, you know, Anand saw b4, but he said that you have to play g6 before you play b4. And we could even show, like, let's say rook d8, you can slowly prepare because black has no active moves here. Let's say h5, okay, you can play it even though it doesn't really help you all that much. Let's say rook to f2. Now you bring the other rook into the game. Queen to c8. You're going to play rook f to f1. Rook to d6. Some moves, just, you know, nothing special. Rook to b2. King to b7. You're going to double up rooks here. Queen to d8. You're going to play queen to f1. Prepare queen to e1. And once queen e7, let's say queen e1. Now you're going to move the rook as you want to gain some more control over the b4 square as well. Because, I mean, let's face it, of course, Jan would know exactly what Alireza is doing. And now let's just execute it. See where we stand. Pawn to b4. C captures, and now bishop captures on b4, a captures, and rook captures. And it's not easy to parry this. Let's say queen to c5, which is, I'm only playing top engine moves for black here to defend. Rook 1 to b2, preparing to triple up on the b file. And let's say queen to c3, offering a queen trade, queen to b1. Now with triple attack on b6, king to a7, unpinning. And now you can even play pawn to a5. Just look at how crushing this looks. I mean, the only way to defend here is to actually sacrifice the bishop right back. For example, rook captures on b6, rook captures. Now you're threatening rook to b8 with some queen b7 checkmate action. Now you have to give the bishop back. Let's say bishop to c4, just for the rook to keep control over the checkmating square. And now let's say d captures, or you don't even have to capture right away. You could play something like king to f1, but yeah, if you do capture, then you do allow the black queen in for a perpetual. So very, very complicated. Of course, with perfect play, everything is a draw, but maybe it would allow for some more mistakes to be made. Here, Alireza played g captures on f6, and now g captures on f6 and pawn to h5. He wants to grab full control over the g file, bishop to f7, and now rook to g2. We have rook e to g8, countering the rook on g2, but now rook to g6, the move from the thumbnail. And it's a pretty standard idea. You don't have to take the rook, but if you don't, then the king will move. The other rook comes to g1. Alireza will have even more pressure on the g file. So Jan did take with f captures on g6, and now rook to e8. Rook to e8 is maybe the only move that holds this for black, but of course we do expect Jan to find it. The idea is that Alireza's plan was queen f5, just grabbing more space, offering a queen trade. But now if Alireza plays this, then rook comes to e6, and he just holds. He doesn't want anything here. He just wants to hold and stop Alireza's pawns from advancing. Obviously, you don't trade and improve Alireza's pawn structure further. So that's the idea. So bishop to e1. Alireza now wants to bring the bishop into the attack as well. Rook to e6 and bishop to h4. We have rook to f8 and now queen to g4. Also with some ideas maybe of advancing the pawn, but just queen to e7. Yeah, not really worried. If you advance the pawn, then rook to g8, and it's Alireza who's in trouble. So king h2 and now king to d6. We have rook to f5 and now queen to g7, finally stopping the pawn from ever advancing. And now if you look at this position, there is no more way for you to break through because Jan just has everything blocked. The f6 pawn is defended 3 times, so you're not breaking through here. You have too little material to create some sort of an attack with b4 on the queen side now, especially with the potential of f5 from Jan. So there's really nothing more to try here. Yes, it's less than 3 minutes for Alireza, but one more move only needs to be made for time control to be reached. Queen to f3 was played, now king to c7, and time control has been reached for both players, and they know that there is nothing more to be done here. Queen f2, king to b7, queen to g2, rook to c6, and a couple of more moves were made, and he was in this position on move 44 that the players agreed to a draw, as there is nothing more to be done here. So that's regarding the game, and yeah, it was an interesting game. But you know, if you look at how it ended, Anand's idea of shifting the rooks to the b file and just have this queen e1 bishop to d2 battery, preparing pawn to b4, does seem to be a better way of looking for advantage than what Alireza went for. But yeah, that was the game. I really wanted you to check out what happened in the game to get into what happened after the game. So after the game, Alireza posted this on Twitter. Let me just load that up. So he said, shameful action by the chief arbiter Marghetis towards me during the game. Middle of the game, in the most intense moment when I was walking during Jan's move, chief arbiter came to me and told me not to walk anymore because my shoe is making noise on wooden floor. He said he told me not to walk and bring new shoes for tomorrow, but I have the formal shoe that is approved and I am wearing it for more than 1 year. This was a big distraction for me during the game and I completely lost my focus. I told one of the organizers that this arbiter needs to be punished. I forgot to click show more. But yeah, Alireza considers that the arbiter should be punished. So yeah, we could definitely understand that in the heat of the moment, in the heat of battle, you're battling Jan Nepomniachtchi, who is, I mean, an incredible player, and someone walks up to you, breaks your focus, says, "Hey, stop walking so loud." Yeah, we should also listen to what the arbiter has to say about the incident, as I will now play the arbiter's reply for you, and then you can weigh in, what's what, and decide how maybe it should have been handled, maybe the arbiter handled it properly. I will leave that up to you guys. So let's check it out.
Thanks, guys. We are here with Chief Arbiter Erez Marghetis after the tweet from Alireza Firouzja. Everyone wants to know what exactly happened in the tournament hall today for round 9.
Thanks, Mike. So about just over an hour into the round, we have a bit of an old building here, and so the floors are a bit creaky. The players are used to that. When most players walk around during the tournament, you don't hear them walking; you hear the creak. However, there was a certain point after about 60 minutes in, when Mr. Firouzja was in the refreshment area, walking in a very limited space, like pacing, and players do that all the time. That's fine, but he had a very heavy footfall. You could hear. It sounded like boots, like it wasn't creaking. It was, I don't know what word to use. It was stompish, if you will, and so I was beginning to get a little bit concerned. I thought, well, this is too much noise. I'm wondering if this is disturbing anyone. And as I was reaching the conclusion that this is getting too loud, one of the other players, actually officially complained to me. And it was a player who was closest to where that was. And so when the player told me, as the chief arbiter, I have a few responsibilities. One of them is to protect all of the players, the tournament, the integrity of the game. And so I had to kind of make a decision here. Well, is he disturbing more than I would disturb him, let's say? So what I did at that point is I went to the refreshment area, and I didn't want to intrude on Mr. Firouzja's space. So I kind of kept a certain distance and waited for him to kind of make eye contact with me. He did. And they waited a little bit longer, and it seemed to be a welcoming, yeah, what do you want, Chief Arbiter? So I went up to him, and I said, there's been a complaint about the noise you're making walking in this little area here. A couple of suggestions, maybe you could spread your walking area. I don't know if that resonated. I don't know if that clicked the way I said it, because we're whispering to each other. I said, you could spread your walking area, and I said, maybe tomorrow if you have some softer shoes, you could, consider trying those. So that's all I did. I made 2 suggestions. I didn't in any way give an ultimatum. I didn't in any way threaten any kind of discipline or anything like that. The 2 suggestions. I find that's like a great way to deal with people, is you give them ideas, and together we'll work at a compromise. So I think at that point in the game, I think that it just kind of fluke. He was in that small area pacing, and it bothered the player.
But to be clear, he was not in time pressure. It was 1 hour into the game.
Oh yeah. It was really early in the game. Well, by the standards of these players. And then he went away, and then he came back just a few minutes later. So at this point, I don't know if he had made his next move or whatever, and he's taller than I am, but I did feel he kind of took a posture that was not comfortable. He kind of like over me kind of thing, and he said, I might file an appeal because you distracted me. And then he walked away again. And that was the end of the incident from my point of view. I just kept going, doing my work, and with my team, we just control the playing area and protect the players, protect the game. One thing I did find interesting was after this exchange, he walked more softly. So the reason I mentioned that is, he was capable of walking more softly. So when it had been brought to his attention, he did walk more softly, and that was good. The player who complained did not complain again. Nobody else complained afterwards.
Are you able to name the player that complained?
Oh, sure, Nijat Abbasov, sorry.
And does it sound more like it was his style of walking than his actual choice of footwear?
I don't know. I can't be inside his head to what a style of walking is or how intense he's feeling at that point. The two factual things I could focus on was the shoes he was wearing do seem to be louder than other people's shoes, and he was walking in a very limited area repeatedly, so anybody near that would be affected more. Sometimes, if he was walking in a wider area, maybe it wouldn't have bothered people. But to answer your question, he did walk softer afterwards.
And finally, at the time of me talking with you, it's about 2 hours after his game. Has he filed any sort of appeal?
I don't think he's filed an appeal. I think he's considering or has filed an official complaint. I don't know. I've heard of there's stuff on Twitter. I'm not like a Twitter guy, so I won't be responding. This is my response. Feel free to ask me any questions. But really, myself and the Arbiter team, we're quite at peace with this. Like, we have to protect all the players. And to me, it got solved just by walking more softly, and it can continue getting solved. And, we're looking into, the organizing committee is looking into putting extra carpeting in that area and so forth. But anyway, I'm fine with it. I don't know what else to, it's the first time I've been interviewed for an incident at a tournament.
I think you've covered everything. That's International Arbiter and Chief Arbiter of the FIDE candidates and women's candidates, Aris Marghetis. Not every arbiter will come talk with us. We thank you for your time. And that's it for the wardrobe malfunction. Now back to you.
So there you have it. You've heard Mike Klein from chess.com and the chief arbiter in question. It's a pretty longish reply, but now you know the whole story. So what's your take on this? I would very much enjoy hearing it. So do share in the comment section below. But yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. These are the standings for those of you who perhaps haven't seen my previous video. Gukesh and Jan still in the lead, followed by Pragnananda with 5 points, so trailing by half a point. With 4.5, we have Hikaru, Vidit, and Fabiano Caruana. It was a great opportunity for Hikaru to join the leaders, but Vidit again took him down. So in both halves of the tournament, Alireza with 3.5 and Nijat Abbasov with 3 points. Nijat still without a single win, and Jan Nepomniachtchi still the only player without a single loss. So yeah, that's the game and a little bit of extra info. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I would like to thank MPU Consulting, Jeffrey Cook, Jacob Gonzalez, Ashish Yole, and Mark Jansen for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.